Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I'm so excited to get on here for this training today, you guys. I am in my PJs because I was laying in bed. It is 10 o'clock right now, and I was actually getting ready to go to bed, and I've been having like the nudge to talk about this topic for the last 24 hours. However, I've been kind of putting it off because I've been in this quantum leap of my life where I am resting more but experiencing more come into my life. So, I have been doing that, but when there's a nudge, there's a nudge. And so I have my tea, and I want to jump into this topic with you guys today because I just think that this is such a eye-opening understanding when this clicks for you at the bodily unconscious tissue level. So today we're going to be talking about how to stop attracting versions of relationships that are avoidant, that you would label as avoidant, right? Maybe you're in a relationship dynamic right now with a guy and he's very interested in you. Maybe he was very interested in you from the start, and then seemingly he backed off when things started to get serious. You keep going on dates with men, and those dates keep ending in just wanting to be friends or not moving forward towards something better or greater, more exclusive, right? Maybe you've been seeing the same guy for a long time and he's just not moving the ball forward into commitment, right? A lot of us have been there. And there was a point where I would have absolutely labeled my current fiance as an avoidant attachment. This is if I sat in a therapist's office, right, and I told her everything that had been going on between me and my then situationship, just friends dynamic at the time, she would have labeled him as an avoidant, right? Loves to be around you, loves to call you, loves to have conversations with you, but then doesn't want to step forward into anything serious. Okay, he must be avoidant. He must be afraid of commitment, right? He has some healing to do. He has some trauma work to do. How many of you guys have heard this? Oh, he needs to heal. He needs to do his trauma work. He needs to heal his own issues before he can come and be a great partner for you, right? There is loads of content online from psychiatrists and psychologists and therapists and attachment experts and all of these things who will give you a rundown of all the ways to tell whether a man is avoidant or not. They're almost teaching you how to be his psychologist, which, is a topic I could sit here and go on and on about because isn't that crazy? Why should we have to dissect the person we're wanting to be in a relationship with to that level of extent, right? And so what this system really does is create more fear. It creates more fear for being in a relationship because now we have to dissect this individual to make sure that they're safe instead of being in an identity where we naturally accept and have a baseline for the stable, committed, secure relationships we desire. So let's get back into my personal story for a bit because I think that this is a perfect example and it really encompasses what we're talking about here today. So as I was saying, anybody would have said that my relationship, my partner, my fiance at that time was an avoidant for all the reasons I already listed. And I really used to buy into that. I really did. I would sit in my car and have conversations with my best friend at the time about why does he act like he's so interested in me just to not really be interested in me, and why is he entertaining all these other options, and why can't he just be serious, and why do I have to deal with this, and on and on and on and on. This is what we get as women, unfortunately, unconsciously stuck in because we think we are valid for doing that. We think that our circumstances and situations validate us to continue into these types of conversations. What we don't realize in those moments is unconsciously we are deepening a story. We are deepening the conversation. We are deepening the identities that we're in. And I usually like to call this identity almost chosen, where you are almost getting the relationship but not quite. Or you're almost calling forward partners who are committed and want to be exclusive with you, but not quite, right? And so I did this for months. I would look for any and every reason to rant about men. I would put on songs that I remember, I forget what the song was called, but it was a song about this girlfriend coming into her boyfriend and like finding him being with another woman, right? I would listen to all of that and find any and every reason to collect evidence outside of me to solidify the story that I was in, right? To solidify this almost chosen version of myself and solidify a story for the man that I was seeing. Can you see how this was creating the relationship dynamic? I wanted to be exclusive to be completely opposite of that. And the more I dug my heels into that story, and the more I dug my heels, and the more I dug my heels in, well, the more we were separated. So the more I dug my heels into that story, the less we were calling and texting each other, the less I was hearing from him, the more emotional distance felt grander and stronger and thicker. The more time was going by without hearing from him, right? Or very, very minimal. We were never in like a full no contact phase, but absolutely there were these moments of very long stretches where it was like very minimal contact, and it was getting greater and greater and greater and stronger and stronger and stronger. And it makes sense looking back, right? It makes sense how I was creating this. So this idea of the avoidant man is a complete illusion, and I need you to shatter your concept of this theory now. Where do you still see yourself as somebody who attracts avoidant men? And have you realized that this is a story? Have you realized that you pick this up somewhere along your self-development journey where maybe at one time it was useful for you to understand attachments? Maybe that was the part of your awakening that you were on. But now at this greater, grander level, we need to shatter the illusion of what we used to believe was an attachment style, attracting a certain type of man. The only reason you attract a certain type of man is because you decided that you attract a certain type of man. And so going back to my story once again, I had to become very conscious of how deeply I allowed myself to be in very, what is the word I'm looking for? Certainty, I guess you could use. How certain I would allow myself to be in only attracting versions of men where the baseline was exclusivity and nothing else, right? What would it be like right now to take on the identity of only attracting relationships where exclusivity is the baseline and nothing else? Well, here's what's going to happen if this hasn't been the case for you up to this point, right? You're going to decide that you only attract relationships where devotion and consistency and exclusivity is the baseline. And maybe you're in a dynamic right now with someone specific, or you're going on dates or whatever that may be, and you're going to see the exact opposite start to come through. So this is what happened to me. I decided this, and the stretch of emotional distance continued to grow. And the reasons as to emotional availability as a label or avoidancy as his attachment style continued to grow. The world continued to give me more reasons to label him as this attachment style, right? You have to be very particular about at this point in time, when you are desiring to shatter the illusion of the attachment style, you have to be very particular about now what you are consuming and what conversations you're not just having but relating to, because people are going to talk around you. There are going to be other women, friends in your field who talk about these things, who are still in the identity of the illusion of the attachment style. And you will have to start strengthening the muscle for no longer identifying with it, and understanding that the only reason there was an attachment style to label him with is because you were still under the illusion of the attachment style. You were still under the illusion that you attracted the type of man who refused to be exclusive with you. You only attracted men who didn't want to take your relationship with you all the way. So that illusion shatters the minute you decide that that's not the case anymore. The illusion shatters the minute that you start to make those decisions for now the exclusive baseline of relationships that you're wanting to experience, and circumstances show up to show you why that's not your experience yet, and you continue to choose, actually, I'm an always chosen woman, where exclusive relationships are the only thing I have, or the only thing I experience, right? Even to go as far as to say, and this is going to come off a little extreme, but like I'm definitely somebody who will embed myself with the most extreme beliefs. Like, it works. It really does. I will take those extreme belief systems to the point of saying any man who was avoidant to other women changes when I'm in their orbit, or any level of relationship that is right now showing me that it's unavailable for exclusivity changes in my orbit. When I enter a man's presence, everything in his world orbits, shifts, changes to be a match for what I want to be in the relationship with him, right? Holding those beliefs very deeply and allowing yourself to take it to the extreme if you're able to handle that. I am, and so I am experiencing the results of that. So that is what has allowed me to take the understanding of what I thought about attachment styles and really flip it on its head. So as I really started to dig my heels into this, you have to understand that you will have to take this new assumption, if you want to think of it that way, this new choice in your identity and what you experience, and actively apply it to the relationship dynamic that you're in. Love Ascension, I have this incredible 30-day intensive, and every day I'm with you in Voxer, where we're actively working through these circumstances together in the moment, so you don't have to do it alone. And it's really incredible because we can take those circumstances that show up where you typically fall back into or slip back into, oh no, I'm dealing with an avoidant man again. Oh no, this man is treating me as an emotionally unavailable individual. Or, oh no, I'm almost chosen again. Even to the deepest degree of circumstances. Third parties. A lot of, I very commonly, I see my clients, when we start working together, one of the craziest circumstances that shows up for them is all of a sudden the man's moving, or he has some kind of extravagant business trip that's going to take him away from her for 4 or 5 months, right? All these reasons to then go ahead and go back to that label of he's unavailable to commit, emotionally avoidant, avoidant attachment, whatever you want to label it, right? So you have to ask yourself if you're willing to go ahead and then drop that illusion of what you thought of as an attachment style and what you thought was affecting you. You have to go ahead and then be very particular about not engaging with content and conversations that reiterate these attachment styles, because like I was saying a little bit earlier, you're going to find a lot of women who are still playing in this paradigm. You're still going to find a lot of women who are struggling with relationships, and their first go-to reason to why that is because they attract avoidant men, or all men are avoidant, or all men have trauma work to do. The only reason that would be the case is because you're still bought into it. So you you do not, if you want to experience exclusive relationships, and that be your baseline, because I'm telling you, you can now start to walk into any relationship dynamic you want and see that completely contort and conform into the high level devotion that you want without question, where you're not sitting around and wondering if he's interested in you, because it's just, not only do you just know in your body, but he's also making it obvious now because your body knows, right? But this is, there, you have to, there is no such thing as an avoidant man. Like, I want you to take that vocabulary and that label and get your trash can in your kitchen and take it and throw it the fuck away. I literally want you to take that label and throw it the fuck away, because it no longer exists. Are you willing to then be a woman where that label no longer exists? Are you now willing to be the woman who, even if your physical world gives you every reason and every opportunity to go back to those labels, to not, right? Because the quicker you pass the tests, the quicker you sink into that identity, and the quicker exclusive devotion becomes just the standard in your relationships. You also have to look at, where do I treat the person I'm in this relationship dynamic with, or maybe even you're going on dates and you're automatically assuming and under the impression that men are avoidant, emotionally unavailable, only want to use you, that they are not desiring anything long term. You're already going into dates assuming that. So you're already subconsciously treating the person in front of you that you're actively having dinner with through this lens, right? Or you're in a relationship dynamic and you're subconsciously treating this person as somebody who's avoidant and doesn't want commitment with you and is looking for any way out and is emotionally unavailable, right? You have body language and things you say and accidental patterns that you're falling into that continue to treat him again through this lens of the avoidant human, the avoidant attachment style, the avoidant man, the emotionally unavailable partner, right? The minute that you choose to shatter that paradigm, that concept, that idea, is the minute you start also now treating him through the lens of the available partner, the always chosen partner, the partner who wants to take you on a long-term journey, right? I have this masterclass. It's called Rewrite Your Love. And in that masterclass, I go pretty deep about how I adjusted and changed the story of my relationship, my exact person that I'm now get engaged to. It's really a great masterclass. You should definitely take a look at it. And in that masterclass, I was talking about how you have to take a little bit of time, potentially, not fully away from them, but enough space where they might still be in your life, but enough space where you can correctly dig your heels into a new paradigm story. So you might not be able to decide you only attract exclusive relationships or partners right off the bat and start treating him in that way. You might need some space to gather this identity before allowing it to come through in the external. And this is totally normal. This is also what I had to do as well, is like the fact that we had the distance a little bit there was really great for me, because I could live in this new world of what I was experiencing with myself and with him before he was super active again in my life. And by that time, I was able to apply this in the moment a lot easier because I was already relaxed, right? It's difficult. It can be difficult. I don't want to say it's completely difficult, but it can be difficult to sink yourself into this idea or this totally new paradigm that has been very brainwashed and very deepened into you without having a little bit of space to get your body into a more calm, restful, peaceful, harmonious state. And when you can take a little bit of time to do that, again, even if he is trickling in your life, you may need to, if he is in your life a lot, you may need to take a little bit more space than you're used to make this a story that you choose to operate from. And then level 2 to this, right, is once he is back in your world, or once you are allowing him back in, once that contact does come back together, is really watching for when he speaks to you, when you're having a conversation, when you're planning a date, when you're talking about groceries, when you're talking about your kids, when you're talking about what color blinds he's putting up in his house. All of these opportunities need to be used as a gap closer. You have to watch now consciously yourself where you may be still treating him through this lens of he's avoidant of me, it's only a matter of time until the other shoe drops and he's not interested again, or until we have another conversation about how he doesn't want to be exclusive, right? Because think about how differently your tone and your body language and your posture is going to be speaking to a man who you are in the conviction of them choosing you, you always being an always chosen woman, only attracting emotionally available partners and experiencing nothing less, right? You're going to treat that person differently than the version of a woman, the version of you previously, we're not now talking in past tense because you're not her anymore, who was expecting him to be unavailable, who was expecting him to be very unopen with his emotions, who was expecting him to not want to spend long-term lifetime partnership with you, who was expecting him to use you, right? You're going to be more closed off, you're going to be a little irritated, you're going to have more of that resentful tone, and because that's going on, that storyline continues versus the other way around, right? You actively have to choose this paradigm and drop anything else around anything that continues to feed this narrative of avoidant men being available. You have to cut off the content. You have to cut off the TikToks about it. You have to cut off the YouTube videos about it. You have to cut off the conversations with your friends about it. Like, you cannot be that woman that engages. And then you have to then go ahead and consciously watch how you apply yourself. How would I have this conversation right now if I expected him to be emotionally available, emotionally fully committed, right? You can even take a moment. Let's say you're in a text message conversation with your person, and before you text them back, you can take a moment for yourself to say, he is fully emotionally available, and every part of him wants to spend the rest of his life with me. And say that a few times to yourself out loud, feel it fully through your body, and then see how the conversation progresses from there versus how it was going to progress. And you build this muscle, and you keep building it and keep building it, and the quicker you're able to close the gap and catch the patterns, which is also why I recommend getting into Love Ascension, so we can close those gaps quicker, because I can just see it way faster than you will be able to, is how much faster your relationship timeline collapses, and exclusivity and high devotion just becomes what you master. And what is it? July 28th of 2026, you can very well be in that exclusive, high-level, high-devotion relationship where there's no question about where he stands with you. He's all in. Or you're calling forward a relationship where he's all in and there is no question, and he's just like exclusive right off the bat and it's obvious, and he's just showing you off to the freaking world, right? You can very much be experiencing that within the next month to 2 months. You can very much be spending New Year's Eve at the ball drop, kissing this man, being with this man, spending that night with this man, the quicker we're able to close the gap. So I will leave the Love Ascension link below. There is a little bit of a bonus right now. So if you come in before August 15th and you pay in full, you will get an extra week of mentorship bonus in for free, which is incredible. It's like a $750 value free. I'll leave that, and I will also leave the link to Rewrite Your Love, because I did speak about that a little bit in this masterclass, in this training as well. And if you have any questions before jumping into one of these programs, feel free to chat me, DM me on the Ultimate Manifestor on TikTok or Instagram, and I will talk to you guys soon.